Good evening, everyone. Chris Schultz, along with Gary Hoff, FridayNightVictors.com. We are filming at Larson's Bar and Grill down in Monroe. They're one of our biggest sponsors. We thought we'd come out here and film our Week 8 picks. Pretty good week of high school football. Gary, you went 7-3. I went 8-2.
Oh, you got me this week.
Funny how that works.
Okay.
Anyways, why don't we dive right into the games? We're going to start in the SEC Red. We had Ypsilanti Lincoln 23, Bedford 19. The Kicking Mules fall to 6-2. Thoughts on that, Gary?
Well, we kind of joked last week that Bedford was going to win that game no problem, and obviously that wasn't the case. You told me earlier Cal Preps, who someone on the blog said Cal Preps is kind of a don't take CalPreps.com too serious, but yeah. Cal Preps, Chris says Cal Preps actually picked Lincoln to beat Bedford.
Yeah, they picked them to win by 9 points. So
wow, that's interesting. So maybe we should use that site a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe so. And Ypsi Lincoln has a really good quarterback. He ran the ball all over the place. He threw the ball all over the place. So that was a tough loss for the Kicking Mules. Next up in the SEC Red, we had Monroe improved to 4-4 with a 56-14 win over the dreadful Dreadnoughts of Dexter.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that game? I mean, it's kind of expected, really.
We thought it was going to be a score something like that, and it was. Dexter's just outmatched in that game. What this does is set up a big showdown, Week 9 showdown with Monroe's bitter rival, Fortson. They've played many, many times over the years. And this is Monroe's chance to set the season right in one game. And,
yeah, it really is, because that'll get them into the playoffs.
Get them in the playoffs and beat Fortson, which is what they always want to do.
So let's jump on over to the LCAA. We had Brooklyn Columbia Central 28, the Dundee Vikings 21. The Vikings fall to 2-6 on the season. Any thoughts on that? I mean, we both went with BCC on that, but Dundee had their chances to win that game.
Yeah, they were down early by 3 scores or
I think it was 21-0.
And they came back and had the ball to tie it in the fourth quarter, but just ran out of downs.
It's just kind of been a tough year.
Yeah, it's been a tough year.
Can't get over the hump for whatever reason.
A lot of close losses, and sometimes that happens. They got Mason this week, so we'll see
what
if they can finish on a strong note.
Next game, also from the LCAA, was a bit of a shocker. Was Hillsdale 27 and Ida 8. The Blue Streaks fall to 6-2. They shock the LCAA with the win the previous week, and then get shocked this week. Any thoughts on that game? Did they get caught peeking or something? I don't know.
They've had 2 odd losses. The loss to BCC,
where they gave up a ton of points.
Gave up 50 points, and then the loss to Hillsdale, only scoring 8 points. It's kind of odd. I think, Ida is just being coached very well, I think you have to say, and sometimes they play. I don't want this to sound bad, but sometimes they might just play to their talent from time to time. And I think those 2 losses, they kind of played to their talent where we thought they would be. But their coaching this year has gotten them over the hump.
Yeah.
Coach Potter.
In playing Hillsdale, Mark Lemoran, who you love to say is a CC graduate,
SMCC graduate.
He's no spring chicken. He's been there a while. Yeah. He's a seasoned veteran. He's not going to get out-coached by anybody. And maybe that was the case. So big win for the Hornets of Hillsdale.
Yeah, that might cost Ida, as Bedford, it might cost them a home playoff game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Okay, the other game we had in the LCAA was Blissfield 55, Erie Mason 18. The Eagles fall to 1-7 on the season. We kind of thought that was going to happen as well.
Yeah, Mason is who they are right now. Young kids playing the game. Blissfield is gearing towards the playoff. That's their 5th win, Blissfield.
I believe so.
So next week, I don't know if they have enough points to get in. They're going to be right on that border, I think, Blissfield. So next week's a big game for Blissfield. But Mason, they're not quitting. Let's put that way.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay, let's jump over to the Huron League. And we had the rivalry week 8 in the Huron League, which is kind of a cool thing. And the first thing we have is the rivalry that, quite honestly, Gary thinks rivals Ohio State, Michigan, and that would be SMCC and Jefferson.
Yeah.
SMCC won that game 27-0. The Falcons improved to 5-3 on the season. The Bears fall to 0-8. Thoughts on that game? It sounds like CC played pretty well.
Yeah.
Jefferson did 2 for about a half, maybe 3/4. But the Falcons were just a better team than them.
Yeah, they controlled the game.
Yeah.
From start to finish, SMCC controlled that game. They're playing very well the last 4 weeks since Huron. The win at Huron, they've been playing very, very well. They had a backup quarterback in Berg Moser, who's filling in nicely for Blanchard, who has a bum ankle right now. Berg Moser is a sophomore. But you got to give it to the defense. They haven't given up. The defense has not given up a single point in 13 quarters now. So you're going to win games if you do that. So,
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now with the Falcons.
Okay, let's stay in the Huron League. We had Milan was at Airport, and Milan won a wild one, 51-45. The Big Reds improved to 5-3 on the season. Airport drops to 3-5 on the season. Thoughts on this game? It was pretty wild.
It was wild. It was back. I was getting texts from my buddy who was there, back and forth. I thought Airport, a close game like this, I thought Airport had them right where they wanted them.
Yeah,
They're going to win a close game again. But Milan pulled it out. They had to have it. Both teams had to have this actually. But Milan, I think, is in the playoffs with this 5th victory, and they got a big one next week to get to that 6th win.
Well, they're playing Ypsi Lincoln,
Yeah.
so that ought to be an interesting game.
That's going to be tough.
In Airport, unfortunately, I think their special teams has let them down a little bit the last few weeks anyways, and they gave up a couple of long kick returns to Milan in that game.
Airport's given up a lot of points this year.
Yeah, they sure have. Next, we had the Flat Rock Rams playing New Boston Huron, and Flat Rock won that game 14-7. The Rams improved to 6-2. Huron loses their 2nd straight, and they fall to 5-3. Thoughts on this game?
What was Huron's record off the bat? Was it 5-0?
They were 4-0, I believe
4-0,
it was.
and then they lost to
Central, then they beat Milan, and then lost 2 straight. You
Okay.
picked Huron in this
I
one.
did.
Remember, I said this was an easy pick?
Well, 7
I
points.
thought
It wasn't that easy.
I thought it was a good matchup for Flat Rock against Huron.
Wasn't
That's
it?
why I went with Flat Rock.
Okay.
I just thought it was a good matchup for them.
Yeah, a lot of comments on the blog. The Chiefs getting a lot of gruff from the fans. It may be only one fan. People
probably is one fan.
People got to take these comments with a grain of salt. Although it may look like it's 100 people, it could be just one person commenting 100 times. And I think a lot of times that may be the case, truly. But Flat Rock's they're just good. They're coached so well, and they're without their best player, one of the best players in the entire league, in Tayeb, and they're still getting the job done.
They are.
Well, what can you say?
Very exciting for the Rams. They make the playoffs for the first time since 1990. That's quite a bit of time.
Yes,
I
remember that team. That's when I played.
Me too. I went to that playoff game that year.
Right after I
the
played.
last game in the Huron League, we had the Riverview Pirates sewed up the Huron League Championship.
Yep.
They also won the Colvin Cup by beating the Islanders, or the Red Devils, of Groseal by a score of 35-14. Riverview improves to 7-1. Groseal dips to 2-6. Thoughts?
Yeah, congratulations to the Pirates on their first league championship in.
It's been
about 12, 13, 14
yeah,
years.
and they're a team. I believe in the grand scheme of things, they have the 2nd most Huron League titles. They might be tied with Airport or Jefferson in there behind SMCC. So it's not like they don't win, but it's been a few years since their last league title.
Yeah, and Groseal played well there. The game was relatively close for a while.
Yeah, it was.
And they played well, but Views just got the horses.
Yeah, and they had the better team. And I think if you really look in the grand scheme of things, the best team in the Huron League won the Huron League this year, and I think that's fair to say.
I think you've said grand scheme of things 3 times so far in this video.
Are you sure?
I think so. I counted.
Why would you keep track of something like that?
I don't know.
It's kind of an odd bird, people. But anyways, here we go.
In the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. But.
Fair enough. Okay, last game was in the Downriver League. It was our Gerwick Nissan Game of the Week.
Yes.
And the Wyandotte Bears end up beating the Marauders of Gibraltar Carlson 24-20 in a game I was at.
Yeah.
And the Marauders led this game 20-3 late with under a minute to go in the second quarter, and they left a little bit too much time for the Bears to go down the field and score before halftime. They receive the kick to start the second half. They go down the field and boom, we got ourselves a 20-16 game, and or 20-17 game, and the momentum's entirely shifted.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this?
Well, I remember saying last week that Carlson may not score 20 points, and I'm refreshing the website, and they got 20 points almost right away. I'm like,
Almost right away.
holy cow. That was surprising, but the Wyandotte defense eventually showed up. I know you said that they really got some players on that Wyandotte team.
Well, both teams do.
Yeah, both teams
It's
do.
really, it was,
Yeah.
it was. I was amazed at how big Wyandotte was
Yeah.
across the front line, and they had a kid who plays fullback. I didn't see a roster. He's got to be 6'3" or 4", 250. He at least looked that big, and he had a couple of plays. He was a difference maker, and he was playing the fullback position. Big play for them in the second quarter that got them back in the game was a little flare pass to him to where he broke 2 tackles, and then he hurdled some people and went 50-some yards before they tackled him. I think, one of the things I talked about in this game was obviously Jack Jarmo was a great coach.
Yeah.
But Ron Adams is a great coach from Wyandotte as well, and you could see that. His kids never panicked. You could tell they had been there. Carlson hasn't beaten Wyandotte since the 2009 season, so it's been a while. But this is a game I think Carlson wished they could have it back,
Yeah.
but it was a beautiful night for football.
3,000 people or
Yeah,
something?
great venue. It was well over 3,000 people. The place was rocking. I was on the sideline. It's a beautiful facility, and they've had turf there for a good 10 years, and they just put down brand new turf again, and it was a great high school venue for football.
Yeah, sound like a great game.
Yeah, it really was. So there you have it. That is our Week 8 wrap-up. Once again, I went 8-2. Gary went 7-3. Anything else you want to add before we sign off? Our show's going a little quick tonight here, but we are here at Larson's Bar and Grill.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to Larson's Bar and Grill. Thanks to Don Bazinski. I gave him a text today and asked him if we could come here on a moment's notice. During the Lions game, when it was 45-10, I kind of joked about the score of the game. Then the Lions come roaring back and almost tied it. Kind of interesting. But so we want to thank Don for letting us shoot here. We like to try to get into different places other than my basement. So we appreciate that. Coldest beer in town. I can't say I had one, but I may have had one. And the best burger in town, years running now.
Yeah, the burgers are solid.
Yeah,
and I will be ordering one after we're done filming this evening.
So yeah. Thanks to Donnie, and we appreciate that. And
well, there you
that's
have
all
it.
I got.
That's our Week 8 wrap-up. FridayNightVictors.com. I'm Chris Schultz. That's Gary Huff. Good night, everyone.